I'm Lisa,
I'm Meg.
and we wrote Boy on Billboard, the musical.
Yeah.
We are Boy on Billboard.
No. And we are Boy on
Billboard.
And we are, where's the emphasis?
And we are Boy on Billboard. Lisa and I have actually been working together for quite a number of years now. Most of our projects that we have collaborated on were for work and related to education and our job. Some of them were really fun, some were more intentional and serious. And so we already knew we worked really well together. I thought we worked really well together.
We did. We do.
We've always really worked really well together. I think that we have fun when we're working. We enjoy collaboration, and it was a really natural transition from working on work to something that we wanted to do, and something that we wanted to do for ourselves as artists creatively. It was really natural.
Yeah. And I mean, it hasn't been without like knock down, drag out, like it's like we're sisters. And maybe yelling at each other, maybe hanging up the phone on each other. And here we are. Meg is really focused. Like, she's really good at just like kind of staying the course and like staying focused. And I think that so much of our working together is you have this, like, it's almost like you have this vision of like, I know that this could work, so let's do this. But then sometimes it's like her sense of humor too can just like be right with me, and we are silly together. And so she has like a super off the wall, dry sense of humor that like also makes it fun. Because a lot of times I'm like, she's being serious, and then like out of nowhere, it's like, oh my gosh, she's so funny. So yeah, but I mean, her ability to really focus and be creative, but also like with some major intention. I feel like I've grown so much because I feel like we've learned, like, you're really good at like put that crappy idea out on the table, and I'm like thinking ideas and I'm like, no, I don't want to say it. But it's just like, say it. Like, say the bad idea, like just say it. And I'm such like a perfectionist, like I don't even want to say the bad idea in a safe, with Meg. And then it's like, but then you like lead the way on like saying, and I'm like, oh yeah, that was really bad. But I mean, then we get to the good idea.
Yeah, it goes to the good idea.
Yes,
because you have to.
It's like getting it out, and it's almost like an activity. So there were so many times where I just kind of felt like, oh, I just left like a creative like therapy session, and it wasn't even supposed to be that. Like, we were totally making progress, but so that's just, I mean, just like one or two.
Well, she's an incredible songwriter. I mean, that's one of the reasons we thought we could actually write a musical. I mean, it's not every day you kind of just, I think that it's something that we've both thought about in our life, but when you don't have a certain skill and you find someone who has that skill, and you both work really well together, that's magic. So Lisa's an incredible storyteller in her music. It's always been that way, even before writing show tunes, I guess is what you would call them. And just how her mind works. She is really creative, but also very strategic as well. Like, she would find some research. You always find research, and you're like, hey, I think, this is what these people are doing, this is what these people are doing. And sometimes my mind is like kind of abstract sometimes. I'm like, oh, but I think together we push each other when we need to be pushed in a certain way. So it's kind of that, maybe one of us is up here, like in La La Land, and the other one has that, ability to bring us back to reality, or vice versa. So the world will be shocked when we're both up here. So it's gonna be. As we started talking about what story would we want to tell, it was really important to us to tell a story that was true and authentic and meaningful.
She came to me, so we had this conversation about writing so, like really collaborating on something, like really, and then she had said, like, I think, right?
There'd been a situation that was very close to me and my family, related to a mental health incident that really impacted me. And I knew the story of Lisa's brother, and we talked about a lot of this before, because we're so intertwined in terms of just our lives. Like you said, we're friends. And so the story of Lisa's brother and family and everything I had going on in my life just kept coming back to us. And we knew that it was a story that we would love telling, that a lot of people would resonate with. And honestly, anything that we would have just made up would not have been as compelling, because the truth is always more compelling. And yeah, and I think that it really was just this moment in time that we had both experienced something that we realized this could be such a powerful story if we pursued it.
To me, that's like kind of the heartbeat of like being human, is like we all share, like, you know, we are all going to experience pain. Like there's going to be hard things in our lives. I mean, it's not an easy situation. It wasn't an easy time. But the thought that like telling something like this could be, could impact someone. It's kind of exhilarating from the standpoint of like the power of just storytelling in general, and then kind of the power of this story. Yeah, we hope that it will be hopeful. It will help people to, you know, not think that they're alone.
And again, the overall story has these major elements that come from the story of Lisa and her family. And, you know, some times, like there were conversations, like Lisa said, it's one thing to write it and to be imagining it and kind of being in it, and then when you're actually watching it and experiencing it and seeing these incredible actors really bring it to life, there are some moments where it just set in me, like as I was like relating and being taken back to real conversations that happened. But you know, we didn't want it also to just land heavy. And so, like Lisa said, we want it to be hopeful and we want it to resonate with people. And so I think that we have managed to create these moments of joy and fun and real comedy. We're I mean, actual moments where you're just laughing hysterically, and then bring the audience, you know, back down to this very real, compassionate, raw emotion. And I think that you need that in stories. And so I'm so grateful that we were both on the same page with, again, we don't ever want to be victims or live in any kind of trauma that's happened to us. And so I think Boy on Billboard is a story that people can see and maybe be drawn into that, and a memory that they've had, because every story, even every conversation, may not have been true specifically to maybe me or Lisa and our families exactly, but it is true to someone. It is authentic to someone. There are other stories that we've heard along this journey that we've tried to incorporate and represent, and voices we wanted to represent during this process. So it all sounds very dark and sad, and it is. But like Lisa said, that is life, and life is also full of redemption and joy and peace. And so we hope that that's all represented in the story.
Yeah, James was everybody loved him. I mean, he just was so loved. And so I think I think it was more of the concern of like painting him in the right true way, like as funny as he was, and charismatic and outgoing and caring and just so innocent. And then, like when we had our preview, it was very well received by my family and cousins and aunts and uncles. Like they were so supportive. So it was awesome. Yeah.
So my husband, a lot of conversations that were written into the script are actually conversations that we had had when he was hospitalized, when he was getting a diagnosis. And so I hadn't really thought of it until that point, and because he's known what we've been working on in writing. But after the first night, when I spoke to him, he did say, I said, well, did you like it? He said, well, it was really good. He said there were some moments that were really hard, but at the end, he said it felt like people knew him more, or that, like, I think, like you said, like, there are people that are going through this who feel very alone, who feel like maybe they're the only one. And so just the idea that at the end he could watch it and feel really good about it, and that was really, really, I was really grateful for that. And that, I also, because, when your family sees something that you write, you're just like, please like it. Yeah. So there was that too.
Which is really just, please accept us,
exactly,
and like
please
us.
accept our art and what we've worked so hard for.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's just like real honesty there.
Yes.
But I do, in all seriousness, I got the sense that I was seeing like people hugging and crying and like hugging each other, and
it's healing,
and starting to have
healing
conversations, and almost like, oh, well, now I can talk about this.
Yeah.
Hey, let me share. And we had people who were strangers even who came up to us and were like, oh my goodness, I saw myself in this. Wow, yeah, this was my experience. Even backstage, actors who've gone through things were sharing about their personal journeys. And I do believe it is a story that brings people together. I do think that there is a really cool element of our show that was intentional, and hopefully people are picking it up, but also subtle so that it's just supporting the story, and that's the billboard. One of the elements that we created is a set piece or projections that would actually be this billboard that lives in each scene, but the billboard itself is just supposed to be this very subtle element of storytelling. And we've gotten some feedback from different people who've just noticed,
who got it.
Yeah, who noticed these projections on the billboards, subtext that's coming through to help support the story. And if you catch it, kind of highlighting some of the themes that we were hoping people would resonate with, or kind of get the idea of mental health workers, medication, how we're obsessed with a very standard, perfect idea of what a family is, and how families should react and respond to each other, or the idea that everyone is supposed to be to look really good, but kind of in the house, we're all kind of we're all messed up. And so
we're all messed up in here.
We are, and so that's a really cool element that is really important to the show, and that's something that maybe people wouldn't notice immediately, but as they continue watching, or if they saw it again, that they would get that. And then what are some things maybe they wouldn't know about?
We put, just from James's, we just had like tons and tons of James's notebooks that like my mom had kept, my cousin had some of his best friends. So yeah, going through those, we thought that it was like important to incorporate that because we had so much material. I mean, there's just like so much to pull from. So,
and he was really talented, and what an honor for Lisa to write music to these lyrics that he created. I think that's very special.
Thank you. I feel like I should have said that. It's true.
Well, we're ready to go all the way. New York, New York. We've put so much time and heart into this show, and based on the feedback, I'm not even
It's
going
a hit,
to.
so.
It is. I'm not even going to pretend it's not.
I'm tooting my own horn from that standpoint, but I don't want to
No,
be.
that's no. They
But, like,
they
we're
love the
working on
music. They
getting-
want the tracks. It's good
making it.
music. It's good, and based on the feedback, the audience feedback, we were hesitant. We were tentative because
Some
there's
more than others,
always there's always that fear, but you just
Yeah.
you have to get it out there, and we're ready to have bigger audiences. We have people coming to us asking, is there going to be another showing? We know that there are people out there who want to see it and who need to see it, and we want to see it fully realized the way it needs to be. This is Lisa.
This is Meg,
And we are Boy on Billboard.